Take a mental inventory of every major initiative you've started in the last 2 years. Count the businesses, channels, courses, diets, and creative projects. Now, calculate how many of those you actually carried through to completion. The mathematical difference between those two numbers represents a specific metric, the distance between your current reality and the life you planned. This gap exists despite the fact that your commitment was likely genuine during every one of those starts. You weren't faking your intent. When the initial start is sincere, it suggests the breakdown occurs in the sequence of events that follows the commitment. We rationalize these abandoned projects by blaming a lack of time, a lack of resources, or an unsupportive environment. Labeling these failures as lack of discipline or self-sabotage often misses the actual mechanism at work. Chronic starting follows a well-documented, deeply ingrained psychological pattern that operates completely beneath the level of your conscious choice. Psychology identifies this pattern as arrival fallacy, combined with novelty addiction. The biological glitch is visible on this timeline. The brain releases its most powerful dopamine spike at the moment a decision is made to pursue a goal, rather than when the goal is achieved. This dopamine flood creates a sense of clarity and surging energy. It makes the future, successful version of yourself feel immediate and real. This chemical fuel is finite. It burns off as soon as the initial novelty fades. This leaves the creator stranded as soon as the project transitions from a new idea into actual work. When the work becomes repetitive and difficult, you enter the flat line. Deprived of the initial dopamine supply, the brain begins to register a state of alarm. This flowchart shows the brain's defense mechanism. The dopamine drop triggers a warning signal labeled withdrawal, which is then masked by the label gut instinct. Many creators interpret this chemical withdrawal as a legitimate intuition telling them the project is a mistake or that they need to pivot. The urge to abandon the project is a physiological symptom of withdrawal rather than a sign of a wrong direction. To resolve the pain of this withdrawal, the brain seeks the quickest path back to a dopamine high, starting something new. As tolerance builds, the cycle escalates. The next idea must be larger or more radical to generate the same neurological reward. This results in increasingly grand starting plans paired with shrinking follow-through. The brain is simply becoming more dependent on the novelty spike to function. The widening gap between starts and finishes is a visible symptom of this escalating neurological cycle. Waiting for motivation to return is rarely effective, simply because motivation relies on the dopamine that has already been depleted. Brute force discipline often fails here as well. Without chemical fuel, the brain creates significant friction, making every task feel heavy. Completion is rarely the result of sustained excitement. Finishing requires a cognitive shift, the realization that continuing the current work is less exhausting than the cycle of starting over. Habits are forged when the work feels pointless and the initial passion has completely faded. This makes exhaustion a reliable fuel source. It is the most honest state available. Use it to implement a 90-day framework. Select one project, commit to it exclusively, and follow a single rule. No new ideas, absolutely no pivots, and no side projects permitted until the 90 days are complete. This sprint does not require inspiration or a belief that the project is perfect. Finishing is a deliberate choice to stop the cycle. It is fueled by the refusal to add another false start to the gap.